All right, everybody. So this morning, I wanted to start kind of a new series that ultimately is going to culminate in a field trip. So it is springtime. We've done this in the past, and this was wildly popular. Going out to a home in the local area, and we're going to eventually be talking about the home, the product that we are in charge of selling every day. We need to be able to have a common language. We need to have a common set of standards and qualifications. But most importantly, we need to have a defined set of definitions of the properties themselves and the things that are happening in a home. So ultimately, what we're going to do is we're going to be talking about what qualifies as a bedroom today. Next week, we're going to be talking about the different definitions and the different explanations for things like what's a gable, what type of HVAC systems are there out there, what's the difference between an eave and a soffit. All those kind of things that everybody always says, well, gee, I don't know things about a house, or I don't know whether that's a gas hot water heater or an electric hot water heater. That's the kind of stuff we're going to be talking about, and we're going to do it in both a field environment as well as on Zoom. Okay, so we're starting that series. And the first thing that we're going to open up with today is something that is commonly misunderstood and commonly gotten wrong by most real estate agents. Letitia and I went out, she went on some showings with me a couple of weeks ago, and I think we actually found one of these, which is a home that was listed as a 5-bedroom, and technically it only met the definition of a 4-bedroom house. And we saw it then, you're going to see it, you've already seen it probably, or if you haven't, I'm going to give you all of the information and the knowledge that you need to be able to know the difference between whether a room in a home qualifies as a bedroom or not for marketing purposes. Okay, so let's dive in, and we're going to talk about this now. So I am going to share my screen. Everybody looking at PowerPoint now? Somebody give me a head nod. Yay, thank you. What qualifies as a bedroom for the purposes of real estate marketing? So first off, let's cover a couple of little things here first. Is just because a room has a bed in it does not necessarily mean that someone, for purposes of marketing and for real estate marketing, can call it a bedroom. All right, so just always remember that just because it has a bed in it doesn't mean it's a bedroom. Okay, you can sleep anywhere, but it has to have the elements that we're about to talk about in order for it to qualify for marketing purposes as a bedroom. Okay, so let's talk big picture. There are 5 main qualifications and 3 additional considerations. Okay, so look at it this way. Qualifications are, it has to have those, and additional considerations are, it might have that, but it might one of the additional considerations might disqualify it from being a bedroom, is probably a better way to look at that. All right, so the main qualifications are listed right there, but we're going to go into each one in more detail, so I'm not going to read them here. All right, let's look at this. Does everybody recognize what this excerpt is, this highlighted portion down here? Does anybody recognize this, seen it before? Does anybody know what that is taken from? Come on, somebody's got the answer. Does it look familiar?
Cost analysis? No.
So this is actually part of the cost analysis from within an appraisal document. So I actually snipped this little screenshot from an appraisal. So this is an appraiser's words that they were using to justify their value for this home. And it literally says it right here. I'm reading the highlighted portion here. Therefore, appraiser utilized the actual bedroom bathroom count and the actual gross living area from the measured subject for all comps and listings. And then they go further into bad mouthing us as an industry or as an agent. Realtors in the area apparently get creative with the actual gross living area and the actual bedroom bathroom count. The most weight was given to the comps, that was one house away that was literally located next door. So this is a situation where an agent probably listed a home as a 5-bedroom when in fact it was only 4. And the appraiser basically was pushing back saying they got it wrong. All right. So the main factors that we are talking about, the 5 main factors are: 1, the size of the room, the presence of a closet within that room. You have to consider the method of egress in case of a fire or evacuation. You also have to consider the adjacency to a bathroom and the presence of HVAC. Okay, so let's dive into each one of these. So the first one is the size of the room. IRC is something you should probably put in your definitions and your vernacular for going forward. IRC is the International Residential Code. When everybody talks about code and whether or not a home meets code, it's typically the IRC that they are referring to. And the IRC has a couple of general guidelines for the size of a room in order to qualify it as a bedroom. It must be at least 100 square feet. Okay, so remember, dimensions of a room are the width times the length. So think of a room that is 10 foot by 10 foot. 10 times 10 is 100. That is the minimum square footage to call a bedroom a bedroom. Okay. And in addition to that, it has to have at least a minimum of 7 feet in one direction. So if you've only got a room that's 6 foot wide and it could be 30 feet long, theoretically it might meet the 100 square feet. But if it doesn't have 7 square feet where you can put a headboard against that wall, you can't call it a bedroom. Okay. And if the room is going to be intended for multiple occupants, there must be a minimum of 50 square feet per person. Okay. So theoretically, if you had a room that was 10 foot by 10 foot and somebody turned it into a bunk room and put 3 bunk beds in it, could it technically be a bedroom for definition purposes? What do y'all think? Room is 10 foot by 10 foot. Somebody put 3 levels of bunk beds in that room and turned it into a bunk room for like an Airbnb. Would it qualify? 10 by 10 is the minimum, but if it has to have 50 square feet and you have 3 beds in it, 50 square feet per person would be 150. So no, doesn't qualify. All right. Thanks for that, doing that little fun exercise with me. Let's go back. There we go. Okay. So remember, 50 square feet, 110 by 10. All right. Next, in addition to the size of the room, you have to think about, can the occupant of that bedroom hang up their clothes in a closet? So it either has to have a built-in closet within the room. If it is not a built-in closet, a cabinet or a wardrobe that is positioned in the room and permanently affixed to a wall will also qualify it. Okay, if you just put a wardrobe in that room and it's not screwed to the wall or affixed to the wall in any way, shape, or form, it could be used as a bedroom, but it may not qualify as a bedroom permanently. So if you're working with a client that's about to list a home and they've got a little cabinet closet like that's pictured in this thing and it's not screwed to the wall, I would maybe consider advocating that they go get some screws and screw it to that wall. And then you can call that room as a bedroom and take credit for it. All right. All right. In addition to the first 2, the size of the room and the presence of the closet, we also have, there must be a method of egress in the room. Think about somebody sleeping in there. They have to have a way to get out in case of a fire. All right. So it must have at least one method of egress. And there are some minimum requirements to that. It must be at least 24 inches tall, 20 inches wide, and have a minimum service area of 5.7 square feet. Do I recommend that you go measuring all of this to be able to determine it? To be honest with you, no, I don't. I wouldn't worry too much about it. The main thing is you got to make sure that the window is big enough. I would just use kind of a common sense approach. If I could crawl through that window, then it probably qualifies. It typically has to open at least halfway. So one of those windows that you see in like a bathroom that is a solid piece of glass and it doesn't open in any way, shape, or form, if that's what you've got in that room, it would not qualify because it has to open. All right. Any questions on that? Let's talk about another qualification. It has to have adjacency to a bathroom. All right. So access to a lavatory without having to walk through another room to access it. Okay. So in other words, directly into the bathroom or into a hallway that leads to one. All right. The bathroom must be on the same floor as the bedroom. All right. So think of it this way. If your guests that are staying in your guest room in your basement, if they have to throw a towel over their shoulder to go upstairs to shower, then that does not meet the qualifications of a bedroom. All right. So here's another way to look at this. When I'm reviewing homes and I'm scheduling showings, I always look at the bedroom configuration in an FMLS. This is a screenshot of that. If you ever see one of these with a lower bedroom has 1 next to it and a 0 under baths, what do you think? Would that qualify as a bedroom if that room was in the basement of the house without a bathroom? The answer is no. And I'm sure you've all seen examples of that. So raise that red flag as you're scheduling your showings and as you're going into the house. You can literally tell your client that you're showing the house, hey, this one is a 5-bedroom house, but looking at it, the bedroom in the basement does not meet the criteria. So really, we're looking at a 4-bedroom house, and the cost and the asking price might be affected by the fact that there's 1 less bedroom than what they think it is there. Everybody follow that? So it's a great way to assert your knowledge of the situation, your negotiation skills. You're letting them in on a technique and a method that might help you give you a stronger negotiation strategy. So why wouldn't you want to do that? Okay. So remember that as you're scheduling your showings. Share. All right, everybody back on the PowerPoint. Okay. We did that one already. And of course, there must be HVAC servicing that room, heating and or cooling. It doesn't have to be both. It can be either or. If you're seeing space heaters or ceilings fans in that room and you're saying that qualifies as HVAC, that is not the case. It has to be permanently affixed HVAC. So it either has to be a ducted system like you see in the pictures down here below, or one of these mini split systems. Everybody seen these? Does this look familiar to everybody? This is one where you're seeing these a lot now in basements and rooms that were being retrofitted that may not have the size capacity for the system that's in the house to add an additional basement. Frequently, people will use these systems, and that would qualify it as a bedroom if it is serviced by a mini split. All right, now let's talk about the additional considerations. So we have to think about some things like ceiling height, the presence or absence of fire alarms and smoke and carbon monoxide alarms, as well as the door configuration. So let's dive into these a little bit deeper. Okay, so ceiling height. A low ceiling may disqualify a room from being considered as a true marketing purposes bedroom. Most states require there at least to be 7 foot of ceiling height. So I love this picture. What do y'all think if you were walking into this house and you saw this room above a single story garage or something like that? Would you think that this particular photograph depicted here qualifies as a bedroom? Showing of shaking heads, I'm seeing the answer is, in my opinion, no, because that is probably barely 6 feet tall right there in the middle, and even less down here at the sides. Okay. Bonus question: what do you call the walls here at the sides underneath of the ends of this gable right here? Y'all see where my cursor is? So on the left and the right side where the headboard is against the wall, what would you call that wall?
Knee wall.
Good job, Tracy. Knee wall. That is a knee wall. It is a wall, Knee, as in your knee, the joint right above your ankle. It is a wall that goes up to a ceiling but doesn't go to the full height of the wall. Okay. So the ceiling height may disqualify a room, as well as the presence of smoke detectors. Smoke alarms should be installed on every level of the home, including the basement. They should also be installed near or within reach of a very close sleeping area or bedroom within the home. And that's according to the National Fire Alarm and Signaling Code. Gotta love that. All right. The absence of a smoke alarm or in a bedroom won't necessarily disqualify it from being a true bedroom, especially if the room is in an older home. But it's always a good thing to install in a room for safety reasons or to keep it outside of the bedroom. A lot of times you'll see a smoke detector right in the hallway outside of the 3 doors to the bedrooms. And that's an acceptable way, and that used to meet code. Okay. So you can't necessarily look in a room and go, well, there's no smoke alarm in here, therefore, or smoke detector in here, therefore it's not a bedroom. Not necessarily the case. Okay. And then lastly, who has seen this one before? If you haven't, it's probably only a matter of time, but there are some weird houses and there are some people that have done some weird renovations to their homes over time. And you will sometimes see a bedroom that has been hobbled together. A closet has been converted from a closet into a bedroom or vice versa. And what you will see is sometimes you'll see a room that is only accessible from another room, not from a hallway or from a main, opening into the home. If that is indeed the case, you cannot call that room a bedroom for marketing purposes. Even if it has all the other elements, even if it has a window, egress, meets the size criteria, it has a closet, all that stuff, if the only way to get into that room is through the bedroom of another house or another room within the house, other than a hallway, then it does not qualify as a bedroom. Okay. Any other questions? So I gave you kind of a recap, and I actually can put this into a little cheat sheet, if you will, and send it around to anybody if they're interested to keep it handy, maybe inside of your little notebook or something like that. That just outlines them real quick and real easy straight from here. But it's all the criteria, all the qualifications, the 5 main ones, as well as the 3 additional considerations. Okay, so let's talk about this. What about basements? We see this all the time. People use a room within a basement, and they may set it up as a guest room and call it a guest room. But if there are no windows at all in that basement room that they're using as a bedroom, then it still cannot be called a bedroom. Okay, because it does not have typically that egress criteria. Any questions on that? Now, just because we have all these criteria, let's talk about how we can leverage them and how we can use them to our advantage. One way that you can use it to your advantage is to push back on an agent that has incorrectly categorized a room as a bedroom. But another way is when you're listing a home, you may want to look at it and get creative from the standpoint of, okay, you've got a room that meets 4 of the 5 considerations to call it a bedroom. All you might need is one additional thing to be able to call it a bedroom. And now the value of that listing, that home that you're about to list, could potentially go up, and sometimes considerably. So you can use that to your advantage. So let's talk about ways that you might be able to do that. All right. So you could also look at things like, okay, could the attic space potentially be converted to add a bedroom to it? Sometimes it can be done, and sometimes fairly inexpensively. Other times it might cost you quite a bit. But it all depends on your situation. But one of the things that I find quite often is there's a room in the house that meets all the criteria, with the exception of which one? The closet. And there are many rooms that can very simply and easily have a little corner walled off with a few $100s of work on the behalf of a handyman can install a closet in the corner of a room that otherwise would not qualify as a bedroom, and it could potentially qualify as a bedroom then. And you can take a 4-bedroom house and turn it into a 5-bedroom house, lickety split, with literally a few $100s. And I've done it before, and my sellers loved me for it, and we're very thankful that we got them more money as a result. So take that into consideration. Okay. And that is the last thing I have for you guys, and we're finishing just a little bit early. What questions do you have for me today? Anybody got anything? All right, so next week we are going to be talking about terminology and definitions and all of the elements and what's the word I'm looking for? Characteristics of a house, and terminology and definitions, names. We're going to play a little game to try to make these things more visually recognizable and help you with your recall. And then we're going to take a little field trip too. All right. Great. Everybody have a great day. If anybody needs anything, I think I might have, you know what, I'm already working on next week's availability for coaching sessions. So if you need anything, give me a call. Happy to help you out. Have a great day, everyone.